everyone. Hope everybody are doing good. I am with the chapter Life Processes. I have got the most important questions, important concepts on life processes where I will discuss them in the form of question and answers. All these are your previous year questions that were repeatedly asked. Okay, so these concepts are really important. And before you go for the concepts, please hit a like button, guys. If you have not hit a like button, even if you have got 1% benefit out of the channel, it is your duty to hit a like button. And if you have not yet subscribed, hit a subscribe button. Hit right now. Hope you have liked the video, right? Still you're not liking it. Like it. Okay, so now let me talk about or discuss about the answer relating to this question, which is a very first concept of life processes. Very important. Okay, so the question is I have got two questions on this concept. The first one is, explain the process of exchange of gases that takes place through stomata in plant. Okay, so we all know what is stomata. Stomata are those tiny pores which are there on green leaves. Okay, so they are present all over the green parts of a plant, but more frequently they are present on leaves, isn't it? So what happens through stomata? It is through these pores exchange of gases takes place. Exchange of gases in the sense oxygen goes out, because after photosynthesis, what is the byproduct we have? Oxygen, right? So oxygen goes out and carbon dioxide comes in through stomata only. For photosynthesis, we need carbon dioxide, right? So carbon dioxide should come inside the leaf. After photosynthesis, oxygen should leave the body of a plant. So this is what we mean by exchange of gases. So that exchange of gases always happens through these small pores called stomata. So now the question is, how does the opening and closing of stomata happen? Okay, stomata, this pore will not be open all the time. Okay, see, you have seen the diagram of stomata in your textbook, right? So this is your open stomata, guys. So how do you put a closed stomata? So this is how the closed stomata looks like. Look at here. So you have a nicely wide open pore here, but here the pore is almost closed, right? So what are these? This is what we call, this pore is called stomata, and who will control the opening and closing of stomata? It is the guard cells. Okay, so these are our guard cells, right? So now the question is, how does the guard cell control the opening and closing of stomata? That is the question they are actually asking you. Okay, so what is the first point you can write? Opening and closing, right? Opening and closing of stomata is controlled by guard cells. Is controlled by guard cells. Right? Okay. So when does the stomata gets opened up? This is very important. When guard cells absorb water, stomata opens. Stomata opens, right? So next point you can write, when guard cells loses water, when these kidney shaped cells loses water, okay, loses water, what would happen? Stomata closes. Stomata will get closed, isn't it? So these are the points you can mention. And here, how do you present the answer? Always in a point wise and always underline the keywords. Okay, so what are the keywords you will mention here? So opening and closing is controlled by guard cell. Guard cell is the keyword. So on absorption of water, stomata opens. On losing of water, stomata gets closed. So when you underline the keywords, the evaluator he focuses on these keywords, and if your keywords are so much relevant, he won't even read your answers. He won't even read the other sentences. He will simply allot you the marks, guys. So underlining keywords can impress evaluator. Okay, so you can type in the comment section. Underlining keywords can impress evaluator. Okay, so guys, so keep this point in a mind while presenting biology answers. Okay, so biology answers you have to write in using lot of sentences. Most of the people will write in the form of paragraph. That looks very unattractive. Okay, so when you write point wise, crisp, short, easy, and underlining keywords can attract evaluator, can impress evaluator. Okay, simplicity is the key here. Okay, so that is about this question, right? Now coming to the second question. Second question is also very interesting. Stomata of leaves facilitate the transportation of water through xylem, justify. Which means stomata help in the transportation of water, it says. Okay, so let me explain that in the next page. See, transportation of water will happens through roots, isn't it? So these are the roots. And imagine here is a leaf, you have a stomata. So in the transportation process you studied that the water, if it has to go from bottom to up, there is one more process that happens, that is transpiration happens, right? So what is transpiration? Transpiration is loss of water through stomata. When water is lost through stomata, there creates a suction force, a pulling force which pulls the water from bottom like this. Just like, how do we sip water through a straw? You know, with the force we take the liquid from glass to mouth, isn't it? Through straw. That kind of a suction force is created because of the transpiration happening. That suction force will pull the water up, pulls the water up. This is how, stomata can also help in the transpiration process. So what are the points you write here? Okay, so through stomata, you can write this way. Through stomata, you can write the answers along with me. That is very important. Through stomata, transpiration can happen. Transpiration can happen. Okay, which means you can write the meaning of transpiration, which means loss of water through stomata. Loss of water through stomata. Okay, fine. This creates a suction force, which pulls the water from bottom of a plant. From bottom of plant. So usually plants which are very very tall, along with the osmosis, this transpirational pull, this suction force itself, we can also call it as transpirational pull. Okay, so this transpirational pull will help to pull the water from bottom to up. Okay, so you can take a screenshot or you can pause and write down the points, but writing is very important. Okay, so what are the keywords you will underline? Yes, transpiration is the keyword you will underline. What is transpiration? Loss of water. So this creates what? Suction force, and that is one pulls the water from bottom of the plant. So if you can just underline the keywords, the evaluator will look these keywords and he will simply put you the marks. Okay, so this is a 2-mark question. So these are the points you can mention for 2 marks. So now let me go for the next question for you. How is the structure of human heart supportive in transporting oxygenated blood and deoxygenated blood? So they are asking how does the oxygenated blood and deoxygenated blood moves through heart? See, we know this is the left side of a heart. So this is a left side and this is a right side, right? So now through pulmonary vein, the oxygenated blood comes, it enters, and through aorta, it goes to all body parts. Okay, and now coming to the other side, what would happen? Through vena cava, the blood enters to the right side, and from here through pulmonary artery, the blood is moving back to the lungs. So this process happens with the help of a heart. So this process, point by point, you have to mention as the answer here. Okay, say for example, what I'll write, the blood, okay, blood comes, you can write along with me, comes from pulmonary vein. Okay, P means pulmonary, don't get mistaken. Okay, comes from pulmonary vein to left side of heart. Okay, and through aorta, okay, blood moves to all body part. Okay, so this is a point you can write. And now from vena cava, deoxygenated blood, I'm using a short form here, you write down full form in the exam. Deoxygenated blood from vena cava comes to right side of the blood, or right chambers. Okay, comes to right side or right chambers of heart. That is what we have written here, no? Yes, right side of heart. Okay, from there through pulmonary artery, it moves back to lungs. Okay, so this is the process that happens through the heart. Okay, so and a few more points you can write here. Here, oxygenated blood do not mix with deoxygenated blood. Very important, DOB means not date of birth, deoxygenated blood. Okay, oxygenated blood do not mix with deoxygenated blood because of double circulation. Very important, mention this, double circulation. Okay, so they might also ask you, what is double circulation? Why is it necessary? That question is also important. Okay, so that also I am covering here. Okay, so what is double circulation? Blood moves twice through the heart. Blood moves twice through the heart without mixing. Okay, blood moves 2 times through the heart without mixing. Okay, so oxygenated blood moves through the left side, deoxygenated blood moves through the right side. Okay, so that's what this is what the answer you can write. Okay, so these points and these points you can mention as the answer. So that becomes a perfect answer for you. So now going to the next question. In humans, how is the digested food absorbed by the blood? Okay, so this is actually A question and this is a B question. First, let us discuss about the A question. In humans, how is the digested food absorbed by the blood? Okay, so definitely you have a small finger-like projection. Say this is a small intestine wall. will have a finger-like projection which has got a more surface area. Everybody type in the comment section, more surface area. Maximum nutrients it can able to absorb. That is the speciality of this finger-like projections. Okay, so you have to mention the wall of or the lining of small intestine. Okay, very important. Lining of small intestine is made up of small finger-like projections. Very important. Finger-like projections. Okay, called villi. So that is very important to underline. Called villi, which increases the surface area of absorption. Okay, which increases. This is a arrow mark which I use to indicate increases, but you write it in a full form. Okay, which increases surface area of absorption. Okay, right? And now later in the next point, what you can observe? So absorbed nutrients gets shifted or transported to the blood vessels, okay, which are associated okay, to villi, which are associated to villi. Okay, so these are the points you can mention. Now coming to the next question, mention the function of blood in transporting necessary materials. So they are indirectly asking you the importance of blood, guys. Okay, so now let us understand the importance of blood now. Okay, so what is the importance of blood? Yes, we know. You can mention the answer in the form of flowchart also, no problem. Wherever diagrams are necessary, you draw it. Even if they have not asked the diagram, you feel that drawing diagram will help. You know, you can always draw the diagram. And you can also mention your answer in the form of flowchart. No problem. Okay, no problem. So blood has got two components, right? One is plasma, the other one is blood cells, isn't it? So now what is the importance of plasma? Plasma will help in transportation of, right? Plasma will help in the transportation of protein. Okay, protein is transported through plasma, carbon dioxide, okay, and it is helpful in the transportation of nitrogenous waste. So everything gets moved through plasma itself. So these are the importances of plasma. So now coming to the blood cells. There are three types of blood cells here, right? So one is a RBC, red blood cells, WBC, white blood cells, and the third variety is platelets, isn't it? So what is the importance of RBC? They help in transporting oxygen, right? They help in transporting oxygen because you will have a red color pigment called hemoglobin that actually takes oxygen to all body parts. Okay, fine. And WBC fights against infections. So fights against infections, right? So they are a part of immunity, guys. Okay, and platelets will help for blood clotting during the time of injury or cut to prevent the extra loss of blood. Blood clotting should happen. That blood clotting is brought by platelets. Okay, so these are the uses. This flowchart form you can mention as an answer. It's like you are going to impress the evaluator. Okay, it's not that you have to mention the answer in paragraph format. No, you can follow your method. No problem in that. Okay, so these are the different uses of blood, guys. Instead of mentioning in a paragraph style one below the other, you specifically you can mention in the form of flowchart also. Fine. So now moving on to the next question. Wall of ventricles in heart is thick wide. Okay, say if you look at the diagram of heart, you know the bottom side of the heart is very thick, right? So anyway, you know, for SSLC examination, heart is the diagram you should definitely practice. Heart and brain, guys. So one diagram is definitely given from these two. Okay, so either heart they will give you or brain they will give you. That is very important. And when you look at heart, the bottom chambers, I mean, this is a left ventricle and this is a right ventricle, isn't it? So the bottom part is always thicker. Why they are asking? Because from left ventricle itself, the blood is going through aorta to all body parts and it will go with high pressure. And from right ventricle itself, the deoxygenated blood will move back to the lungs. That also happens with high pressure. That means from this part of a heart, the blood is really going out with high pressure. So the walls should not be delicate. If walls are delicate, they will break out. That's why the ventricles are very thick walled. So they have a very thick walls. Okay. So why they will have thick walls? Because the blood, because you can write this way, because the blood moves with high pressure. The blood from ventricles, okay, very important, moves out with high pressure, with very high pressure, guys. Okay, so that's why the walls of ventricles are thick walled. So this you can write as an answer. Now going to the next question. Yes, how is the blood leakage? How is the blood leakage in the blood vessels prevented? Okay, so during the times of injury or cut, we know the blood gets leaked. If blood is getting leaked, it disturbs the blood pressure, right? So platelets are the cells which come together and they will help in blood clotting. That is how the leakage can be prevented. Okay, guys, so this is the concept. Let me write the answer for you. Okay, so during the time of injury or cut, the blood loss, okay, creates a difference in blood pressure. Creates a difference in blood pressure, okay, which is dangerous. Which is that difference in blood pressure, if it happens, it is very dangerous. Okay, so which is dangerous, right? So what will happen? Platelets from blood, platelet cells, okay, help in clotting the blood, okay, thus that means this way blood loss can be prevented. Okay, blood loss can be prevented. Okay, blood loss, okay, can be prevented. So this can be a question that you can use for writing in the exam, guys. Okay, now going on to the next question. Compare the functions of xylem tissue with that of phloem tissue. So they are asking the differences between xylem and phloem here. Okay, so xylem on one side, right? Phloem on another side. So what is a xylem? What does the xylem do? Xylem will help. Okay, it will help in transporting water, isn't it? Help in transporting what? Transporting water. Whereas phloem, okay, so this phloem help in transporting food. That is sucrose, isn't it? Yes, transporting sucrose. So this is the first point of difference. Sucrose is nothing but food. Now the second point is the flow of water in xylem is unidirectional. Okay, so the water can only flow from bottom to up. whereas the transportation of sucrose in plant body is bidirectional. So what do you mean by bidirectional? The food can transport from leaf to roots, okay, leaf to shoot. So in both the direction, the food can be transported according to the need, okay. So here the transportation is bidirectional, here the transportation is unidirectional. So these are the 2 points of difference you can easily write as an answer, okay. So hope you have taken a screenshot of this. Moving on to the next question. Yes, which are the factors essential for photosynthesis? Mention the events that occur during photosynthesis. This is one of the very important concept for SSLC board examination, guys. You should really focus on this question. So, which are the factors essential for photosynthesis? That means they are asking the raw materials of photosynthesis, guys. Okay, so what are the raw materials of photosynthesis? So you need H2O, you need carbon dioxide, you need sunlight, isn't it? And you also need the pigment chlorophyll. So these are the different raw materials necessary for photosynthesis. Now they are also asking the events of photosynthesis. What do you mean by events? Events are nothing but the steps that happen in a photosynthesis. What is the step number 1 you will write? Absorption of light energy, isn't it? Absorption of light energy, guys. So the chlorophyll is the pigment which absorbs sunlight first. Now that sunlight is used, okay, light energy, or you can write that sunlight. Sunlight is used to split the water. It is used to split the water into hydrogen and oxygen. So whatever the water that you have taken as a raw material, no? So using the help of sunlight, it will just split into hydrogen and oxygen. So now in the last step, reduction happens. Reduction of CO2 to sucrose or glucose, okay, which is nothing but a carbohydrate, which is nothing but a food, right? Reduction, what will happen here? Carbon dioxide reduction means what? Addition of hydrogen, no? Whatever the water has splitted, it has given hydrogen, that hydrogen gets added to carbon dioxide. Ultimately, this gets converted into glucose here. Okay, so this is what we mean by this sentence. So I repeat the 3 sentences. First, the chlorophyll absorbs the sunlight, light energy. Now that light energy is used to split the water into hydrogen and oxygen, and then you are adding hydrogen to carbon dioxide to convert sucrose, which is called as reduction of carbon dioxide is happening to produce carbohydrate. Okay, so these are the 3 steps you can mention, and these are the raw materials you can mention, and that becomes a perfect answer for this question. So now moving ahead to a next question. Yes, which molecule is formed during first step of cellular respiration by breakdown of glucose molecule in cytoplasm, guys? Okay, so hope you know the flow charts of respiration. They are very important, right? So what is the first step? Glucose will get converted into 3 carbon compound called pyruvate, right? So what are they asking here? This whole process happens where? This whole process happens in cytoplasm, isn't it? So glucose gets converted into pyruvate in cytoplasm. Okay, that is what the answer. Next they are asking, mention the types of respiration and write any 2 differences between them. Okay, so what are the 2 types of respiration? Aerobic and anaerobic, no? Right? Say in case of aerobic, what do you mean by aerobic respiration? Aerobic respiration is the pyruvate gets converted into energy in presence of oxygen. Okay, what will happen? Pyruvate gets converted into carbon dioxide, water, and you will get large amount of energy. The energy that you get in aerobic respiration is very large energy. That is one point of difference you can write. Okay, and in the absence of oxygen, okay, in absence of oxygen, so where does this anaerobic respiration we say? This is anaerobic respiration. Where does the anaerobic respiration happens? It can happen in yeast. What do you get? You will get ethanol and carbon dioxide plus energy you will get. So here the energy that you get is very, very less actually. Okay, so this is the major difference between aerobic and anaerobic. Aerobic means respiration in presence of oxygen. Anaerobic means respiration in the absence of oxygen. Here more energy you will get. Here very, very less energy you will get. There is another respiration that will happen in the muscle cell. Okay, this happens only in the muscle cell in the absence of oxygen. What you will get? You will get lactic acid, guys, here. Along with the lactic acid, some energy. Okay, because of the formation of this lactic acid, during the time of exercise, you will get lot of pain or cramps in your body. Okay, so they might ask you a question. During the time of exercise, why do you get lot of pain and cramp? It's because of lactic acid. I mean, after the exercise, you feel lot of pain and cramp is because of the release of lactic acid. Okay, so this happens only in the human muscle cell. So these are the three pathways, and I have also explained the two different types of respiration and the difference, right? So this is also very, very important concept that you should keep in mind. Now going to the next question, guys. Yes. How does transportation of water, okay, takes place over the height in the plant? I mean, in the taller plants, how does the transportation of water takes place? So this is the question A, and now this is a question B. The body temperature of frogs and lizards depend on temperature of the environment. Justify. First, let me talk about this factor. How does the transportation of water takes place? Okay, so I have to explain what transportation of water. Transportation of water. Okay, so let me explain the process first. Say this is a plant where you have a roots and here you have a leaves. So water should go from this root to leaf. Okay, so what will happen? All these roots are there in soil. So all these roots, where are they present? They are present in the soil, isn't it? So this is one root cell, this is another root cell. Like this, xylem tissue will run all over the plant. Okay, so water is always transported to xylem tissue. So that is the first point you write. Okay, water is transported. Water is transported. This is the first point always you should write. Transported through xylem tissue, guys. Okay, so very, very important. It is always moved through xylem tissue. Underline this word, xylem tissue. Okay, and now first what will happen? The ions. Okay, so whatever ions are there, so ions will be transported into a cell first. From the soil, the ions will enter into a soil. That creates a concentration difference between this cell and soil. Okay, so ions enter into root cells, okay, which creates a concentration difference, which actually creates concentration difference. Okay, so water enters due to the concentration difference. Next, the water. So what will enter? Water enters. Okay, so water enters through osmosis. So movement, osmosis and diffusion. Through osmosis and diffusion. Okay, so the water and ions move from one cell to another cell. Okay, so this is how through osmosis and diffusion what will happen. The ions move first, later water. Now ions move first, water later. Ions move, water later. Like that, through the process of diffusion and osmosis, to some extent the ions and water is going up. But if it has to reach to a very high height, if it has to reach till a leaf, this process of osmosis and diffusion will not help, guys. You need another thing. Okay, so what is that another thing? I have already explained in previous question, transpiration. Okay, so now what will happen in the next step? You can write it as a next point here. Okay, so to move to a greater height. Okay, what to move? The water and ions to move to a greater height. Transpirational pull. Help for the movement of water. Okay, so this is how you can present the answer. So the last sentence you can write, which is similar to the sentence that I have given in the first question. Okay, so in the first question I have told you how stomata is helpful for the transportation of water. The same point you can write it as a last point here. Okay, so these are the points you can use, guys. So if you want, you can take a screenshot or you can write down. Okay, so this is a very important question actually for SSLC board. Transportation of water or transportation of food, both are important. Okay, in plants, how does the water moving and how is the food moving? Both are very important aspects. So now moving back to the question, there is another question here. See, look at here. The body temperature of frogs and lizards depend on temperature in the environment. Why? This is also very important. So what do you write? Frogs and lizards have 3-chambered heart. Okay, so frogs and lizards have 3-chambered heart here. So they have 3-chambered heart. Because they have 3-chambered heart, okay, there is mixing of oxygenated blood with deoxygenated blood, guys. So both oxygenated blood and deoxygenated blood are mixed. That's why the body temperature do not remain constant. That's why body temperature do not remain constant. Okay, they change according to the environment. The body temperature changes according to the environment. These are the 2 points which are very important to mention as an answer. Okay, so that's all about this question, guys. So moving on to the next question. Explain the process of translocation of food. What do you mean by translocation? Translocation in the sense movement of food, right? Movement of food is called translocation. Yeah. So what is the first point you will write? Movement happens through, I'm just writing it in a shortcut way. Movement of food happens through phloem tissue. That is the first point. And later what will happen? Using energy from ATP molecule. ATP is an energy source, isn't it? So all the extra energy in our body is stored as ATP. Whenever necessary, that is being used up by the body, right? So using energy from ATP, sucrose. Okay, sucrose is moved to phloem cell, right? Phloem cell. Okay, this creates osmotic pressure. This creates what? Osmotic pressure. Osmotic pressure, guys. Okay, so due to this osmotic pressure, due to this Water enters into nearby xylem. Water enters from nearby xylem. Nearby xylem. Okay, I will explain the explanation also. Just try to understand the points first. Okay, so due to osmotic pressure, water is coming from nearby xylem. So contains in the sense here the food. Okay, food or contents move from high pressure area to low pressure area. High pressure cell to low pressure cell. Low pressure cells. Okay, so these are the points you can mention, guys. So if you want the explanation, it is very simple. Yeah, see, this is a leaf, right, where sucrose is there, food is produced, and here you will have a phloem tissue. So this is a phloem tissue, and phloem tissue gets attached to a xylem tissue. Okay, so using energy, the food is moved to a phloem tissue. Now the food is here. So the moment food is here, the pressure gets created in this cell. Okay, that pressure is what we will call it as osmotic pressure. Okay, right? And now to balance that osmotic pressure, the water from nearby xylem enters into this cell now. Okay, so only the food is there. Now that food gets mixed up with the water. Where is the water coming from? Water is actually going from the nearby xylem. Now food and water is there here. Now this cell has got too much pressure. Now this cell is empty. So the food will move from high pressure area to low pressure area. Now the food is coming, food and water both are coming here. Now from this cell the food will enter to this cell. Like that, the food is moving from high pressure area to low pressure area. Okay, so this is what the explanation of that question, guys. Okay, so now moving on to the next question. Yes, this is also very important question for SSLC. Explain the process of digestion in the small intestine. So you have to mention, okay, small intestine is a site of complete digestion, isn't it? It is a site of complete digestion, guys. Complete digestion will happen in small intestine. Why? Because pancreatic juice, okay, pancreatic juice or pancreatic enzymes, you can mention pancreatic enzymes converts, okay, so you can write down converts carbohydrates into glucose, okay, simple sugars, and the juice will convert proteins into amino acids, okay, fats into fatty acids and glycerol, okay, all these you can mention. And also the bile juice which comes from a liver, the bile juice that comes from a liver can help in the emulsification of fat. Okay, it can help in the emulsification of fat. This point you can mention. And also finally the intestinal glands. Intestinal, I means intestinal. Intestinal glands secrete. They will also secrete a juice, okay, which finally converts what? Converts carbohydrates, proteins, okay, and fats into nutrients. Nutrients means what are nutrients here? The glucose, amino acids, fatty acids are nutrients. So like this, you can still elaborate the points and write down. That becomes a perfect answer for this question. But this question is also very important. I have briefly shown the answer. This only you can elaborate and write, guys. Okay. So these are the most important questions for SSLC. Along with these questions, you have to practice the diagram of human heart, and you have to practice the digestive system diagram, respiratory system diagram, and excretory system diagram. Okay, and open closed stomata. Okay, so stomata diagram is also important. Along with that, you also focus on the nephron. Okay, so nephron diagram is not necessary. Function of nephron you study, guys. Okay, so nephron is made up of glomerulus, Bowman's capsule, convoluted tubule and collecting duct, what does the glomerulus do, what does the Bowman's capsule do, all that, nephrons function also, you make sure that you learn it properly. Okay, so ultimately these are the important concepts that you have to focus for SSLC board exam this year. Okay, hope the video was useful for you. If it is useful for you, okay, please hit a like button and do share the video to your friends also. Meet you all with the next chapter. Thank you so much.